investments promotion in the as regards coffee in the States. I welcome all of us, and I want to first of all appreciate the Raw Materials and Development Research and Development Council for deeming it fit to take this direction, as well as the Nigerian Export Promotions Council. I appreciate your effort too at not just sensitizing but wanting to create awareness on the investment potential in the coffee sector. I want to say that I am very proud and happy to tell us today that when it comes to coffee in Cross River State, it all started in the Ministry of Commerce, Cross River State, in our State Export Promotions Committee that is domiciled in the Ministry of Commerce. We're looking out for other cash crops to promote for exports in the state, other than cocoa that is the primary produce we have been promoting and selling outside Nigeria. Then suggesting cane and coffee was brought to the fore. And again, I want to also appreciate my brother when I say he's a partner, a serious partner in the promotion of export crops and development of Cross River State and Nigeria at large. My brother, Dr. Osas Damian Omoroge, he was one of the brain behind the development of coffee for export in Cross River State. And he got that approval for us nationally. Nationally, he was able to pursue and get the approval that coffee be planted in Cross River State and be exported. Like my brother, the Executive Secretary of Tasima, stated while he was trying to put us together, that before now, coffee was planted in beds at a time. It went off, possibly because there was no market, because we don't consume it daily, possibly it was, part of our mainstay as at then. But from all indications today, we have come to realize that coffee is a money-minting business if we are serious at it. That is why all over Nigeria there is revival in the cultivation of coffee. And as a state, my governor is a serious-minded businessman. We didn't just propose it, but the government of Cross River State has gone ahead to put in place a framework, a 7-year framework for cocoa, cocoa, coffee, and oil palm in Cross River State. I think Cross River State is the first state. Please clap for my state. Yes, to do that, putting in strategic document framework for 7 years for cultivation, promotion of coffee in the state. And just yesterday, to add to that, it was proposed in the State Executive Council about the traceability policy. Cross River State is also going to put traceability policy for cocoa, coffee, palm oil, so that internationally our own produce here will gain market access. So those are the building blocks my government is intentionally putting in place to ensure that we will just grow, but we have market to sell cocoa and make good money on our investment in the state. So I want to encourage those of us that are businessmen like Tasima that is represented here, and others, you are not a businessman, please go tell people that there is money in cultivation and processing of coffee. in Nigeria today. To add to it, I have a young girl, a young friend of mine from Plateau State. Unfortunately, we were together at Algiers, the just concluded Intra-Africa Trade Fair in Algeria. What did she go to showcase there? Just coffee. She is Malta. A young girl about, she's not up to 40, she should be in her 30s. She's already a billionaire selling processed coffee from Plateau State. So please, we can key in. It's a very green area that, not like the oil business that the gurus are there already, but this one is virgin. For any potential business person to key into, to invest into, there is so much money in coffee, not just cultivation, processing, and selling. There's so much money in it. So I want to encourage all of us, or tell other people that there is money in it. People should intentionally cultivate coffee. You don't need a very large farm of 100 hectares, 1,000 hectares. Just around your house, you can do some coffee stands there, and you'll be surprised what you get at the end of it when it begins to yield. So with these little words of encouragement, I want to encourage all of us, and we should also tell other Nigerians that there is money in coffee production. Thank you and welcome to Cross River State. I wish you all a very fruitful deliberations as we continue to tell ourselves and tell the world that we have what it takes in Nigeria to develop. Outside oil, we have what it takes in Nigeria to develop and make progress as a people. Thank you and God bless us.
Let's do it better.
Thank you so much, ma'am. My attention has just been drawn to the presence of the State Chairman, NACOSTA, National Association of Coffee, Ms. Dr. Hassan. Please, sir, you're welcome. Come to the high table. Sir, please, come to the high table. Also, I want to call Reverend Bison, State Chairman, All Farmers Association of Nigeria. Please come to the high table, sir. At this moment, I would love to request Mr. Lee Elimokwede to give us a little address, goodwill message. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here. My name is Lee Elimokwede. I'm representing the President of the Calabar Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Kede Yamba. Unfortunately, he has some other engagement. We'd love to have him here. Honorable Commissioner, representative of the DG, all protocols duly observed. You know, in the business circle, we don't please pardon me, all protocols duly observed. I just want to short message from him. Distinguished guests, esteemed partners, and stakeholders in the coffee ecosystem. It is indeed a pleasure to extend warm greetings on behalf of the Calabar Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture. Today's conversation around coffee value chain development could not be more timely as the world continues to demand sustainable and traceable agricultural products. Nigeria and the Cross-River State stands on the threshold of a new opportunity to enhance our rich soil, entrepreneurial spirit, and growing SME ecosystem. Focusing on sustainability ensures that our farmers, processors, and exporters thrive without compromising the environment of future generations. Beyond that, developing the coffee value chain represents a strategic step toward economic diversification, a pathway to reducing dependency on oil and unlocking wealth creation across rural communities. At the chapters were committed to fostering collaboration between government, private investors, and local farmers to ensure that value addition, access to finance, and market linkages are not just talked about, but practically achieved. Let us therefore use this platform to build a resilient, inclusive, and globally competitive coffee economy, one that brings prosperity for our people and sustainability for our planet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. I'd like to call on the representative of Architect Ben Itibe, Regional Coordinator of Nigerian Export Promotion Council, South Nigeria, and is no other person but Mrs. Susan Ago. A good message.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. All protocols duly observed, even though I'm from the federal government agency. I am delighted to be here this morning on behalf of my regional coordinator, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, South Regional Office, Port Harcourt. In no other person than Architect Benedict Itebi, who is unavoidably absent due to other official engagements. He would have loved to be here this morning, and he has also sent warm regards. So good morning, distinguished guests, partners, and fellow stakeholders. It is an honor to represent the regional coordinator, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, South Regional Office, Architect Benedict Itebi, who is unavoidably absent at this important office stakeholders investment forum. I am Susan Seresi Agu, and I'm delighted to stand before this gathering of passionate experts, farmers, and investors, all united by one shared vision to see our coffee sector thrive and take its rightful place on the global stage. The South region is richly blessed. Our land, our people, and our spirit are full of promise. With our fertile soil and favorable climate, we have everything it takes to produce high-quality coffee that can proudly carry the Made in Nigerian brand around the world. But coffee is more than just a crop. It is a catalyst for transformation, one that can create jobs, empower communities, and boost our economy. Of course, we are aware of the challenges, which are low productivity, limited access to finance, and inadequate infrastructure, among others. Yet, within every challenge lies an opportunity. With focus, innovation, and collaboration, we can transform these obstacles into stepping stones towards thriving coffee industry. Environmental sustainability through agroforestry, organic farming, and efficient water management. Social sustainability through fair labor practices, gender inclusion, youth participation, and community empowerment. We already have inspiring examples across the region, dedicated farmers and cooperatives who have embraced sustainable practices and are seeing both higher yields and better incomes. Their success stories remind us that when we do the right thing, everyone wins. Now, to truly harness the potential of coffee, we must look beyond the farm. The real value lies in what happens after harvest. Let's think bigger. Let's add value by investing in processing, roasting, packaging, and branding. Promote legal consumption. Imagine walking into a cafe proudly serving stout coffee. Diversify into related ventures like coffee tourism, coffee-based skincare products, and even coffee equipment manufacturing. Also, leverage innovation and technology, improve efficiency, traceability, and product quality. When we do this, we are not just selling coffee beans, we are telling the story of our land, our people, and our craftsmanship to the world. The success of our coffee industry will depend on how how well we work together. Government agencies, farmers, private investors, research institutions, and development partners, we each have a role to play. Collaboration is not an option, it is essential. Let's use this forum as a platform for partnership, to share knowledge, explore investments, and commit to action that moves our sector forward. Friends, the future of coffees in the South-South region is not a distant dream. It's within our reach. If we embrace sustainability, innovation, and true collaboration, we can transform our coffee value chain into a source of pride, prosperity, and progress for all. On this note, I leave you with this. I urge us all present here today, let's brew a brighter future, one cup at a time. Together, let's unlock the potential of our coffee, our people, and our region. The time is now. God bless us all. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also want to recognize the presence of the Basin Authority. Please, if you're here, show a wave of hand. Anybody from the Basin Authority? Okay, so for the next goodwill message, thank you for coming, sir. The next goodwill message is coming from the National Productivity Center, Cross River State Office, and it will be taken by their state coordinator, Mr. Okoli Manson. Please, let's clap for him. Let's welcome him.
Good morning, members of the table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to deliver a welcome address on behalf of National Productivity Center. Previous speakers have spoken much, and I think the bottom line of what everybody is saying is that collaboration is the way to go. It's not an option, it's a necessity. So in that line, I want to say that the journey of coffee, from when it's cultivated to the period it gets to at different cups that we take as tasty tea, it takes a long period and it involves a lot of processes and actors. Along all these processes, there is a lot we can do to increase the income of the average farmer and all those that are in the process. And that is where the national productivity comes in. Because national productivity is all about improving the way we think, our mindset. If the mindset is not tuned to this kind of idea, which lies with man, which is the major factor of production, the man, that is, we have to change our mindset. As a way of going forward, there is need to conduct studies and see what we are not doing correctly. Cross River is blessed. I think there are only 3 states that can produce the 2 most important varieties of coffee, and that is Cross River, Taraba, and Jos. All they need is just that little push and support. Notwithstanding all for foreseeable challenges. The state government is doing its own bit with the partnership with the JR farms. They onboarded about 11,000 coffee farmers. Probably in the next 3, 4, 5 years, we'll begin to see the result. And maybe by then, when we have all keyed into the process, the multiplier effect will translate in higher quality of living for our people. Too much talk will not solve the problem. We better start our meeting. So on this ground, on behalf of the Director General of National Productivity Center, I wish to welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So at this time, we would like to take some pictures. We would like to do it in batches because we can't all go off stage. And even though we come down here, we can't achieve having everybody in one picture. But for now, we will start with the high table. Cameraman. We start with the high table. Sets we join up there, queue up behind them. We take the picture, half, and then this side come last.
You could drag this and come back.
So after them, we'll have everybody on this side come forward. No shift now, maybe people don't shift them too much.
All right.
I don't suspect this photographer. You know, when I was smaller, there used to be that time I love pictures and I want them to snap me. My father would just call the photographer, the guy will come, he wouldn't do anything, he would just flash. Once I see the flash, I'm okay. So thank you very much. Yes, I'm taking coffee, thank you very much. Those on the side, please, can we join? Everybody on the side, can we join them behind so that we take together? We'll take them in batches. Thank you very much.
Okay. Oh, well, snap.
So let's start the last one.
Now what's happening? No, we never spoke. No,
so that their faces, everybody's faces.
That's weird. Oh shit. On your flash. You don't go off light. Everybody went out.
Huh?
Everybody went out.
Maybe everybody went out.
Come back.
Maybe everybody went out.
Come back. Come back.
Maybe everybody went out.
Off the lights.
Off the lights. Off the lights. Off the lights. No, that's it.
What flash now?
The flash.
Okay, Okay, so let's have from
From here, please join us. Thank you.
Maybe you're not on the platform or you need to.
Okay, please.
please
Last
batch of people.
No data.
All right.
Okay, don't come up.
We affect those daily.
Even if I touch it, I'm going to be snapping. Or once it does not, we are starting this.
At this point, we're going straight to the technical session. And before then, I'd love to ask who has taken the test of coffee either through the sweets you were given this morning.
Ew.
Thank you so much. So I was asking who have taken a test of the coffee sweets. I can see some here. Have you taken some? You've not. Oh, sorry, ma'am. And if you've not had coffee sweet, have you had some coffee outside? We have some coffee outside. Okay, so if you will send people to bring it inside for everyone to take. But at this moment, we want to go straight to our technical session. And the very first presentation is going to be handled by Dr. Akin Bello and Ayodele Oladipo. He is the head of Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria, CRIN, Adjacent Substation, Etun local government area of Cross River State. Please, let's welcome Dr. Akinpelu Ayodele Oladipo. Okay, before I leave here now and hand over the phone to him, I just realized that we have UBA Bank here. Please, can we recognize your presence by you waving your hand? Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning, Honorable Commissioner, and every all protocols duly observed. Thank you very much. I want to appreciate everybody and the Raw Materials Research and Development Council in collaboration with Nigerian Export Promotion Council that has given me the platform to come on stage to present this paper. First of all, I want to bring the greetings of my acting executive director, Dr. Adidich. He's the acting executive director now at our headquarters at Ibadan, Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria, Readiness. So I'm here to present a paper. Permit me to say, I don't know how many minutes. Oh, okay. With your permission. Thank you very much. So I want to discuss with us on the topic that says sustainable and best agricultural practices in coffee production. The presentation will go as we have seen on the slide. We will look at sustainable agriculture, sustainable farming practices, best practices in coffee planting, best practices in coffee harvesting, best practices in post-harvest storage and processing of coffee, and quality control and market preparation in coffee. Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria has other crops that are its mandate. Apart from cocoa, we have coffee, we have cola, we have cashew, we have tea. So, but today, the forum today is discussing on coffee, which is a very important crop in Cross River State. And if it is not important to go, didn't have even had the state government will not come up with this thought of having a strategic 7-year strategic plan to develop this important crop. Like the previous speakers have said, and as we know, agriculture is the most important economic sector of many developing countries. And by 2050, we definitely know that the population will have bloated, and how are we going to feed the population? It's through agriculture. Agricultural production systems are expected to produce food for a global population that is expected to get to over 10 billion. We are talking about sustainability, sustainable agriculture. What do we mean? How do we make our agriculture sustainable? All of us are here now. Are we going to use our efforts to jeopardize the future of the coming generation by all our actions and activities in farm? So we are looking at how we are going to make agriculture sustainable, most especially the coffee sub-sector, which has brought every one of us here today. Increasing trend in per capita productivity, that is yield, to meet the present needs without jeopardizing the future potential. Cocoa has done a lot by discouraging deforestation. Now we are picking coffee. Are we going into the deforestation? Are we going to do things that will not make our coffee production sustainable? Are we going to do anything that will still jeopardize our future generations' potentials to do agriculture? One of them, I know, in 1991 reported that these demands are public methods of land stewardship. for the development of sustainable agricultural systems. One of the last stewardship is intensification. Now, the intensification, we should be able to increase productivity within limited space. Thank you very much. We should be able to increase productivity. That is, what can we still do to do that is the use of improved and high-yielding varieties of crop. An important aspect of land stewardship is tillage, which is the agricultural preparation of soil employed in crop production. All of us will know what tillage means. It's one of the ways in which we prepare our land for agricultural production. Sustainable agriculture. Soil tillage influences agricultural sustainability through its effects on soil processes. What are the tools we use? We want to open land. We want to the tools that we are using that will lead the growth and productivity of the land. We should be careful on the type of implements we drive into our farms. A sustainable system meets the twin objectives of being economically viable and ecologically self-dependent. Economic, environmental, and social dimensions are inseparable within sustainable agriculture. Each of them is equally critical. We cannot separate ecological sustainability and environmental self-dependence. We cannot separate the two of them. So as we are planting, as we are doing our agriculture, we should still have at the back of our minds that am I doing something? Am I planting my coffee or do I intend to do my coffee in a sustainable way? Now we are looking at the coffee tree. An example of some seedlings are outside. For some of us that will have the opportunity of seeing it, we have some seedlings outside, and the seedlings are just a variety of coffee, which is a coffee robusta that we are trying to raise in our substation at Nigerian. And I want to appreciate the effort of the state government in subsidizing the coffee seedlings to farmers, which is an effort geared towards encouraging us from diverting our attention, not from cocoa alone. So an example of a coffee tree is what we have here. Coffee as a crop, the vast majority of coffee production has its roots in colonialism. Some of these things were brought to us, and as they were brought to us, our farmers, our rich laborers, they decided to test them. And along the line, it became plantations. Coffee became a cash crop, planted and harvested by rich laborers on large plantations, then exported to those countries where colonialists they came from. Consequently, general ways of life were changed in these countries because of the shift to the new reliance on coffee production. People now saw that we can make money, we can increase and improve our livelihoods by cultivating coffee. However, with the growth of the United States economy, the market for exporting coffee also expanded. Commercially grown varieties are coffee Arabica and coffee Robusta. Not that we do not have other varieties. We have about more than 100 varieties of coffee, but the ones that are commercially viable are the ones we will try to discuss here. Coffee Arabica and coffee Robusta. And I want to appreciate the regional coordinator of NDPC doing his welcome address. I mean, good message that told us something that we still look at in as the presentation progresses. Coffee Arabica has a mild taste, more fragile, and its best growing conditions are found in the highlands of tropical zones, which is a confirmation of what our brother from NPC, National Productivity Center, has said. Coffee is a promising crop for economic growth and sustainable development, as we have said. Coffee trade is limited. Now, what are the hindrances? Limited by poor pricing, low income, and lack of access to market. During one of our studies and visits to coffee farmers in one of the states in Nigeria, we find out that A lot of them harvested their coffees and they were claiming there was no market access. But on a closer look, we saw how they processed their coffee. Instead of following recommended and approved ways of processing them, they did not process those coffee very well, and at the end of the day, there was no access to market for them. But I want to believe that this forum will stimulate our interest in doing our coffee the right way that will make us access market. The high producing states in Nigeria, as equally said, the man from National Productivity Center, is Plateau, Taraba, and Cross River State. And Commissioner for Commerce substantiated that something to that. A lady from, I think, Plateau State. She's so passionate about coffee, and she has taken coffee production to the whole world. Cross River in particular, this production area. During some visits we made in conjunction with NEPC to Obudu, we find out that coffee Arabica and coffee Robusta can actually be grown and they will do well on that plateau. And the Nakoftan chairman, Dr. Hassan, also is here too to portray some of these claims. Nigeria produced about 1,844 metric tons of green coffee in 2023. Now, what is the reason? Cross River State has a large prospect for coffee production. In fact, one of our experimental stations along Etobe Road was dedicated for coffee production. But when you get to the place now, you won't even see a stand of coffee because they have possibly they felt there was no market, and the land should be used for animals. So this production came from across 1,416 hectares with yields averaging 1.3 tons per hectare. This accounts for a minimum, a very negligible percentage of global production. As you can see there, coffee production in Nigeria has experienced decline over the years, but recent initiatives like what we are having here and the previous initiatives that the state government has put forward, I think we'll be able to revitalize our coffee value chain. What is the future project and what are the future projections in Nigeria? Production targets. Nigeria aims to boost its coffee production and potentially increase its global market share through aggressive involvement of stakeholders in coffee value chain. Aggressive involvement. If you are aggressive in this process, then our production will be improved. And one of the things we are doing here is what all of us have left other things to come to this place so that we can discuss and know how to move our coffee industry forward. We have a good potential with proper support, investment and adequate advocacy. I think some of these things as my erudite professor is here, who is the chairman of the 7-year strategic plan. I think that plan has gone to the national, State Assembly. It has gone through a lot of processes, if I'm not mistaken, so that a policy document will be issued out and people will dig into how to revitalize coffee industry. Characteristics, feature of coffee varieties. As I said earlier, we have over 100 coffee, but we dwell on coffee Arabica, which is known for its mild and nuanced flavor. It is grown at high altitudes and is more sensitive to temperature and humidity, and that is why Obudu plateau suitable for the production of coffee Arabica. Coffee Robusta, this is higher in caffeine and bitterness. It is often used in instant coffee and espresso blends. Now, we are talking about coffee. Do we have any benefits? What are the soils suitable for and the vegetation alike suitable for coffee production? Improved yield, suitable soil. In agriculture, if you remove land and remove soil, then what are we doing? Except for the recent technological developments and innovations that they are now making us to plant our crops on soilless and in greenhouse, and to feed the public, then we are getting somewhere. Environmental benefits. Shade trees and cover crops can help conserve biodiversity, protect soil, and mitigate climate change. Those are the benefits of suitable soil and vegetation in coffee production. Sustainable production by promoting ecological interactions and using sustainable practices that we know are sustainable. She said something about organic farming. She said something about fair trade. We are going there to see that these are things we need to do to make our coffee production sustainable. Sustainable farming practices in coffee. Shade-grown coffee. Growing coffee under a canopy of trees preserves biodiversity, reduces soil erosion, and promotes ecosystem health. At the headquarters in Ibadan, when you get to our coffee plantation there, you see a lot of biodiversity. You see different trees there. You see coffee plant trees. You still see some trees that are planted around to encourage biodiversity and increase the soil health. Organic farming, avoidance of inorganic or synthetic fertilizers and pesticides protect soil health. And if we cannot totally eradicate or eliminate the use of soil with nutrients, reduces waste, and promotes soil health. What are we saying? I think the hint in now is circular economy, where nothing is expected to, most especially when it comes to agriculture. What comes down from our crops should still be reused. So coffee pulp and leaves, they are there for us to be used in such form. Agroforestry, we have discussed that. Water conservation, this involves implementing efficient irrigation systems such as rainwater harvesting and mulching to conserve water, retain soil moisture, and reduce water wastage. Now, I want to go into coffee production. We are thinking of how do I, even when I'm raising my nursery, how do I get water? How do I make the plantation? How do I make it sustainable, or how do I make it to have enough water to supply to my crops? Yeah, there are instances or there are examples in everywhere. Even some of our cocoa farmers, when you go to their farms, you see that there are trenches that have been dug, and they use those trenches to do what? To harvest water for future use. They will just dig some pits and put nylon or tarpaulin. They will put the tarpaulin there. They use promoting fair wages, eliminating child and forced labor, and supporting local communities through training and capacity building. You should be careful on the mistakes that have been made on some other crops, which now need some partners to come in and say, oh, when you see a boy, you see a child below 18 years working in the farms, they look at you as you are using them as child labor. So we should still be putting those things in mind when we are going into coffee production. Nursery preparations, which is an important aspect of it. Coffee is not like cocoa that you can just plant and before you know it, 2-3 weeks it starts breaking dormancy and it starts coming up. But coffee, it will take you not less than 3 months before it will break dormancy, and you need to go through a process that we call pre-germination. And during the visit to Ogoja, when there was flag off for coffee production, it was demonstrated to them, and I still believe that the chairman of NACOFTA, that is here seated, will be able to shed more light on that. But primarily, our coffee berries or seeds, they need to go through this process of pre-germination. And if you look at this one, this were actually done in January 2025 at our substation. What we did was just to loosen the soil and we planted the coffee seeds there. Even when we loosened the soil, what we added was sawdust, so that when the time will come for the coffee for us to bag them, then it will not be too difficult for you to remove the seedlings from where they were planted. So nursery preparation and establishment in coffee. That is the topsoil. This is the topsoil, and this is the bagging. The nursery bags have been filled with soil. Some of those ones we brought are like this. These are just, these pictures were taken in October. Yeah, October. So that is to say from March till this period, how many months has our coffee seedlings stayed in the nursery. So it takes a longer period to break dormancy, and before it will be ready to be taken to the field for permanent establishment, you need about 6 or 12 months, so that it will have the vigor to withstand the natural environment and conditions in the field. Nursery preparations, coffee seedlings, as I said, typically spend around 6 to 12 months in the nursery before being transplanted to the field. It is important to note that provision of optimal conditions in the nursery gives coffee farmers strong and healthy seedlings for maximum productivity in the field. So it is just like garbage in, garbage out. If you do not do the right thing during the nursery stage or stages of coffee, then what you are getting from there you will not be impressed with whatever is the outcome. Germination, coffee seeds germinate within 1 to 3 months, as I said. Seedlings develop 2 to 4 pairs of leaves and reach a height of about 15 to 30 centimeters before being transplanted. You will see those ones that are outside. Factors influencing nursery period: seed quality, as I said, garbage in, garbage out. If you used bad seeds, definitely you cannot have 50% germination in your nursery. Nursery conditions: adequate light, water and nutrients can promote healthy growth, and the weather conditions such as temperature and humidity can impact seedling growth. So we should be able to provide necessary conditions when these crops are very tender. Stronger benefits of proper nursery care. Then, if you do not do the right thing, definitely we are not going to get the best of our efforts. We need to do the right thing for us to get stronger seedlings. When cared for, seedlings are more likely to thrive in the field. If you care for them very well, you yourself as a farmer, you will be very happy and you will be eager to take them to the field for permanent establishment. But if you take a weakling, you take a seedling that is not good, then all the efforts economically, then it is wasted. Improved survival rates. Healthy seedlings have a better chance of survival after transplanting, which all of us, even from our basic knowledge of agriculture, we know that if we do not do the right thing, definitely we will not get it. Better growth. Seedlings that receive proper care in the nursery can establish themselves more quickly in the field. Plant population in coffee production. Plant population of coffee can vary based on some factors such as coffee variety, climate, soil type, and management practices. We need to take those things to heart, and the spacing for coffee is 3 meters by 3 meters, because once it grows, then if you did not do normal agricultural practices, you will be, a lot of farmers, they destroy their coffee because they use them as stakes. They use them as staking materials for their yam. If you did not maintain your crop coffee plantation very well, then it becomes yam stakes. Nevertheless, regular pruning can allow for denser planting, hence increasing the plant population. Benefits of optimal plant population. What are the benefits? One of the benefits is let's talk about the resource. Already we have been told how many stands per hectare do we need. You that you are planning, if you can sit very well, you know how much does a seedling of coffee cost. You know the cost, you know the number of seedlings you will need for per hectare. Then if you have 1 hectare, definitely you sit down, you calculate it, you know that, oh, I'm buying a seedling for 300 naira as being subsidized by the state government. 300 times 1,111. All those things, you do the calculation very well economically before you go there. But if you do not have the idea of how many stands per hectare of your crop, then I think some of those resources will just be wasted. Because if you buy more seedlings, you don't have a place to plant it. That money you have used to buy those excess seedlings will have been plowed back into the other system. So improve resource use. It helps optimal plant population can make better use of sunlight, water inputs and nutrients. Then if you are able to do that, you know how many liters of agrochemicals are situated, how many, you know, all those things you'll be able to calculate them, and the labor, it will not be wasted. It reduced soil erosion. Proper spacing in coffee plantations can help maintain soil health and reduce soil erosion. We are looking at common pests of coffee. Is there any crop that does not have a pest? Is there any crop that does not have a disease or diseases as it were? All of us will know, if we can ask anybody here that the common disease of cocoa, we will say it, and what are those things or practices we need to do to prevent or mitigate the effect of those diseases on our crop? One of the common pests of coffee is coffee berry borer. The scientific name is Diacotyledonous apiae. This is a tiny beetle and burrows into coffee cherries. Now, what is the main economical the value? What is of economic value in coffee? I think is the cherry. And you agree with me?
Yeah.
So, but if the cherries you are thinking of getting is already affected, it's wasted. So we should be very careful to know how we will be able to manage these pests. It causes damage to the berries and beans. This does leading to reduced yield and substantial economic losses. It can be controlled by cultural practices, removal of infested cherries, biological control, parasitic wasps, and use of insecticide. In coffee leaf miners, anything that happens to our leaves as agriculturists, we know that definitely it translates to what? It translates to the yield, because the photosynthetic ability of the crop is intact. So if a particular coffee plantation is affected by coffee leaf miners, definitely the farmer will know that I may not be able to get a lot about this one. It can also be controlled, like what you say, integrated pest management is good in controlling them, because it's a leaf, it affects the leaves. This is a moth that lays eggs. White grubs is another one, Lotrichia species. These are insects that feed on coffee roots. This one, we have one that will feed on the leaf. We have one that will go to the root system to destroy the coffee. They belong to the family Scarabidae and are also referred to as chafer.
Very much, sir. I would love to welcome the Honorable Commissioner of Agriculture. Is nobody but our very old Commissioner, Dr. Ebuko. By this time, we are going for the second technical. Sorry, sir.
You're welcome, sir. So we are looking at other pairs of coffee, white crops, and they belong to that family. We have the snail insects, which we have two notable ones that are the Cucus viridis and Cucus celators. This is a major pest of coffee crops worldwide. Coffee berry pollen. Coffee leaf, we are talking about the diseases of coffee now. Coffee leaf rust, Emilia pestaris. This is a fungal disease. It causes yellow-orange spots on leaves. This leads to defoliation and reduced yield. It can be controlled by the application of recommended copper-based fungicides, cultural method, and use of resistant varieties. Coffee berry diseases, Coletridium tawai. It is also a fungal disease, and what we applied to a coffee leaf rust can still be is applicable to it. Root rot. Root rot is a fungal disease too, and it affects the root. Most of the time we have waterlogged areas. You know, even in common practices, we are not expected to plant our crops in a waterlogged environment, because the water will definitely have effect on the productivity of our crops. So control measure is to improve our drainage and avoid overwatering, which is one of the cultural methods, and we can use beneficial microbes. Bacterial blight is Pseudomonas syringe. It's a bacterial disease. It causes water-soaked spots on leaves, leading to defoliation and reduced yield as usual as well. It can, control measures can be the use of cultural method like removing the body of infected parts of the branches and leaves. You can still use copper-based sprays and practice good field hygiene. Cercospora leaf spot is another one. It is also referred to as brown eye spot or iron spot. It causes brown spots with yellow leaves or yellow arrows on leaves, and it also leads to defoliation and reduced yields. We can do the regular integrated pest management we discussed earlier. Pink disease is Erythricium salmonella. This disease does not only affect coffee but other crops, so it is important for us to have a preventive measure in controlling this, because wherever you have this other host of this disease, we should be very careful. We try to work in humid environment with temperature between 28 to 30 degrees centigrade. The symptoms include white trails of fungus on the back, resembling cobwebs. Thank you. Our best practices, I think this one is important for us. I will not dwell too much on it. You know, one of the things I said before that affected our coffee farmers or traders as it were is the way they produce, they process their coffee. Some of them, instead of following the wet, let me quickly go to this because of time. I've been giving time. I think the slide is here for us to look at. I want to quickly, this is, you can see this second picture. Some of our farmers, when they are harvesting and they want to process their coffee, they will just remove the berries. I don't know if you got what I'm saying. This thing from the stalk of the leaf, the berries they will just use their hand to wipe it down, and in so doing, a lot of things will be there to affect the quality of the coffee. Post-harvest storage and processing of coffee. This is what I am saying. Wet processing, which is also known as washed processing. It is important for our farmers to abreast themselves with recommended and adequate way of processing their coffee, so that the coffee cherry, they will be able to remove this, the skin and the pulp of the coffee. Dry processing is what I said. They will just remove it like that and go and dry. And by the end of the day, you see that it will not be marketable. You need to dry your coffee well, you need to store it well, and you need to select a container that have food-grade materials that do not absorb odors or release chemicals. Jute bag is recommended. Adoption of best practices of quality control, hygiene and traceability in coffee ensures high quality beans that meet consumers' expectations, market standards, and enhancement of fair pricing. I cannot see what is bad and you will expect me to buy it. If your materials are good, I will be able to give you high premium. Quality control, we need to look at the temperature, the pest control, record keeping, which is very important. Maintaining total records of harvesting, processing, storage and transportation is key to ensure traceability and compliance with organizational standards. It's still in line with what you have done. What are you doing in preparing your coffee for the market? Good packaging. Even what if you have what is if what you have is not good but the package is fine, people will have already bought it before they know that it is the package that is attractive. So it is important for us to let our farmers know and other stakeholders in coffee production that they need to package it well. Economic benefits of coffee production, the Commissioner for Commerce has told us: revenue generation, job employment, income for smallholder farmers, and economic development. It is a belief that a community that produces coffee, definitely the environment in that area will, the economy in that area will develop speedily. Sustainable practices, those are the things. We have some health benefits of coffee consumption, antioxidant properties, cardiovascular health, neuroprotection, liver health. Caffeine has been shown, but it is important for us not to do it we should do it in moderation. Moreover, other compounds in coffee may help improve mood and reduce symptoms of depression. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Akintoye. I'm sure we have seen that lecture that has gone on, and I'm sure in our minds there are a lot of questions we need to ask. So we'll reserve those questions, we'll ask them toward at the end. We still have a couple of papers to be presented. You were initially told that the Honourable Commissioner for Agriculture, the man that tills the soil, and the man that ensures that coffee will grow is here, at whose instance the 7-year strategic development plan was developed and is being implemented in the Cross River State for the development of the coffee sector. We are going to just give him, without putting him on the spot, I'm just going to give him a little while to say a few words to us on what he's doing in the coffee sector in Cross River State before we move into the next paper. So on that note, I'd like to respectfully invite the Honourable Commissioner for Agriculture, Mr. Johnson, to please give us his remarks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please permit me to do the protocol. Since I came late, I will not stand on the existing protocol. The Honourable Commissioner for Commerce, Dr. Mrs. Abidaju, the coordinator, State Coordinator, NEPC, SAS Union, the Chairman Multi-Stakeholder Committee, Cocoa Coffee and Oil Palm, Professor Susan Mohen. I saw the Chairman of AFAD, the Chairman of the Agricultural Group, Private Sector, Chamber of Commerce. So representing the Chamber, Mr. Adele, representing the President. And the state rep for the COFTA, Samasa. Also the organizers. Is it the raw materials research? Where is the rep? The state rep?
Yes,
the state, where is the rep? Representing the national?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, she's here. Oh, madam. Sorry, I guess we've not been seeing you often. But it's nice to meet you today. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, if there are other commodity groups that are not recognized, please, I apologize. It gives me great pleasure to join you at this important coffee stakeholders investment forum organized by the Raw Materials Research and Development Council in collaboration with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. Let me commend both agencies for their consistency in promoting value chain development, research-based policy action, and private sector investment in our non-oil commodities. The theme, coffee value chain development, focus on sustainability and economic diversification, is timely and aligns strongly with the renewed agricultural transformation agenda of Cross River State under the visionary leadership of His Excellency Senator Prince Bassey Edetu, whose People's First administration is deliberate about building economic resilience through value chain-driven agricultural growth. Cross River State, as we all know, has embarked on deliberate processes to revive coffee as a strategic crop within our agricultural landscape. While cocoa and raw palm have traditionally dominated our export portfolio, we are now intentional about positioning coffee as the next frontier in agribusiness development and foreign exchange generation. Our very first move was to inaugurate the Multi-Stakeholders Committee on Cocoa, Coffee and Oil Palm, which has successfully developed a 7-year strategic plan for cocoa, coffee and oil palm. The chairman of that committee is here, Professor Susan Ohen. Prof, you can stand, let them. We have delivered the document. What we are currently working on is the implementation strategy. So that very soon we will come back again and show you the stakeholders on how this plan is going to be implemented. We have articulated a clear roadmap that promotes sustainability, private sector participation, and most importantly, value addition. In fact, the plan is not only a document, but also an actionable framework driving our interventions across research, extension, production, and market access within the coffee value chain. Last year, we entered a strategic partnership with GR Farms for the establishment of large-scale coffee plantations, and the state governor himself successfully flagged off the distribution process. So far, we have distributed about 100,000 coffee seedlings to farmers within the northern and central territorial districts. We have carried out community engagements for land acquisition and are currently concluding plans for the establishment of statewide commercial coffee estates under a public-private partnership model. This is besides the smallholder scheme. Our extension and agricultural officers have been trained on coffee planting, management, and post-harvest practices, with advanced training programs underway to deepen technical capacity. To strengthen value addition, the state government, in collaboration with GR Farms, will set up coffee wash stations to ensure that our raw beans are processed locally. This aligns with our roast at source initiatives, which aims to ensure that Cross River exports roasted and grounded coffee rather than unprocessed beans. By doing so, we retain more value, we create jobs, and we position our state as a competitive player in both domestic and international markets. Beyond production and processing, we are investing in human capital development through the training of baristas and coffee entrepreneurs. This will promote local consumption, stimulate the hospitality sector, and create a thriving coffee culture among our youth. I am very, very happy that I've seen a good number of young people here. The future of the new Cross River is in our hands. Because myself, I'm a young person. The future of our new Cross River is in our hands. The future that we see is a future where you will have a lot of coffee brands emanating from Cross River. It's a future that we see chocolate. We see chocolate in international shops across the world emanating from Cross River State. The bulk of what we are doing is to ensure that we can create a valuable future for our young people. And so I'm very happy that I'm seeing a lot of them. This doesn't exclude the elderly. For the fact that your brain is working, it means you are young. So it's not about the age factor there. Sustainability remains the core of our approach. We are committed to ensuring that our production practices meet the European Union deforestation-free regulation and other global market standards. Our goal is to make Cross River coffee not just abundant, but traceable, compliant, and environmentally responsible. We have also institutionalized stakeholder engagement as a key national cocoa and coffee roundtable earlier this year. We established the Cross River Cocoa and Coffee Investors Forum, which brings together representatives from key institutions, including the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, the Raw Material Research and Development Council, alongside producers, exporters, researchers, financial institutions, and other relevant stakeholders. At the commodity level, we have now coordinated value chain leadership structures for coffee, with recognized patrons and leaders who will soon be formally announced. This will ensure inclusivity, accountability, and continuous dialogue across the chain. Distinguished guests, the future of coffee in Cross River State is very prosperous, and we are building it deliberately. Our fertile reforms and investor-friendly environment provide a strong foundation for success. With the real strength of this agenda lies in meaningful partnerships between governments, research institutions, private investors, and our hardworking farmers. Let me also, to everybody, or just notify you, that the 2026 Coffee Festival will be held here in Calabar, State. As a state, we are committed to providing the right policies, incentives, and enabling environment to attract investors, protect farmers, and strengthen the entire value chain. Let me state also clearly that Cross River State is very, very much open for sustainable coffee business. On behalf of the Cross River State government, I wish to reaffirm our steadfast commitment to supporting all stakeholders in building a sustainable, inclusive, and profitable coffee economy that will not only diversify Nigeria's export base, but also bring shared prosperity to our people sustainably. It is on this note that I hereby declare this event open in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you, and God bless Cross River State. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Please let us give a round of applause for that very concise and intentional. Again, I want to be intentional. I would ask that please, all my distinguished people here, stand up. Over, come flash them. Just flash. Don't take, just flash. Yeah, just flash the lights. Don't take any photograph. Just flash the lights. I've been saying one flash now. Thank you very much. Thank you. We are going to go back into our technical session, and our next paper is to be presented by the chairman of the National Coffee and Tea Association of Nigeria Cross River State, Dr. Hassan, on production best practices. I know that Dr. Akingbelu had taken you through a lot of things. You know, that's the problem when you give mic to a teacher, then they start to teach. And if it is in a classroom or research station Wednesday, so it just kept going. Anyway, I'm sure we enjoyed that. On this note, I'm going to bring another teacher, but this other teacher, no day like the first teacher. He's normally faster, easier, and more practical in his approach to things. Please let us give a round of applause to Dr. Hassan. After Dr. Hassan, another teacher will come.
Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi. I want to appreciate the raw material people to be able to give me this opportunity to stand here and talk. But more especially my commissioner, if we've gotten to this position, both the Commissioner of Commerce and the Commissioner of Agriculture, but more especially to the state reps, he was the one who followed me to be sure that there is coffee in Cross River State. Even when he was going, when he was in my village, he said he's in the bush. I asked him bush, but when I took him to the farm, I realized that he was not in the bush. And I think he was afraid that maybe he might have been kidnapped. But where we have come from is because of people like him that we are able to sit in this room and be able to talk about coffee. I remember when I asked my commissioner, take coffee and tea, he said, no, we will take just coffee. And I think the next year, the next session, we will be able to take tea together with coffee. But I want to appreciate it. There has been a distance. Please, unfortunately, they put me to talk after the researchers. The people who teaches us all what we do. Yes, I'm a teacher. But at this platform, I think I'm all the family. And I will appreciate it my presentation. Can you put on? While we are looking for my presentation, my presentation is titled Reviving the Cross River Coffee Economy, Production Practices and Production Practice and Investment Opportunities. Well, so many speakers will tell you. Coffee is not just it's a catalyst. It's a catalyst for sustainable prosperity. With the world coffee industry getting over $100 billion and destined to increase 4 to 5% annually, I think Cross River State has the strongest competitive advantage to be a key player of coffee across Nigeria. And what we intend to do is, in the next 7 years, we are going to be the coffee capital of Nigeria and West Africa sub-region in general. What we intend to do in terms of reviving the economy, we intend to be able to be that coffee hub, both regionally and nationally. I'm speaking here today as the chairman, state chairman of NACOFTA. But what is NACOFTA? NACOFTA is the umbrella organization that brings together both tea and coffee farmers, processors, and marketers. We've been working with CRANE, the research institute that is being designated with coffee and tea. We are working with the state and national federal government, and we're working at the private sector. So we are that pivot that brings together all these key players within the coffee section. And our mission is to strengthen the value chains of coffee prices, more especially what we grow in the estates, those the farmers will be able to be protected so that we will not have to start again. What are our strengths? Our strength, yes, we have the climate, which is favorable. And at this particular time, we have the government that has put in place the right policy for us to be able to kickstart. And what do we mean by the right policies? We are aware of the fact that the government spent over $1 billion in order to subsidize seedling for farmers. We are aware of the fact that the government has been able to put in place a strategic plan how this industry is going to be able to move for the next. The fact that the government has been able to train extension officers in terms of the know-how. All these are government policies that are able to drive this to a rewarding end. Secondly, in terms of the weaknesses, yes, we said most of our farmers cut down their coffee farms. Unlike cocoa, whereby this knowledge has been passed on to the younger generation, coffee has not had that advantage. And as such, most of the people who are going into coffee now are inexperienced. And there is a need for us to train them, which the government is also almost mitigating that aspect. Secondly, the earlier presenter talked about the grain farms whereby we used to have coffee. Definitely, the farms are still there, but they've been cut. And when we do that, based on our Nakosta research, we realize most of the farms, some of the farms have been privatized, which people are building houses, but we still have some of those tons of coffee there. But equally, research has gone so far in such a way that the productivity of coffee, we doubt if at all, based on those stock, we'll be able to meet up with the world catch-up. But equally, those are genetic banks. Those are the crops that have been able to withstand some of these diseases within an environment. And as such, Nakosta is looking for a way to be able to safeguard some of those genetic in terms of further research, in terms of disease resistance and everything. But equally, the former presenter made mention of the quality of our products. We have very, very weak processing quality. And we realize, we are to, just a minute. So we realize in terms of the weak processing quality. So we realize when we're doing, based on the work of the strategic plan, when we visited some farmers in terms of Taraba, we realized they were mixing both the Robusta and the Arabica. Even in terms of the way they were processing, we realized it was not the best practices. So those are the weaknesses we are likely to have in such a way that, based on what my commissioner said, with the relationship with JR Farm, they are going to set wet processing plants, which is going to be able to mitigate some of these aspects. And more especially, like every business in Africa, there is low finance. And I think in the strategic plan, we look at the different options that might be able to promote, to mitigate this low finance aspect within the coffee sector. In terms of our strategic priority, we are looking at training and investment on the infrastructure, the coffee infrastructure. So the best practices framework, what are we looking at? We are looking at nursery. We are looking at the nursery aspect, and what do we intend to have about the nursery aspect? We need certified seedlings, equally. We need certified seedlings and shading for various plants. In terms of the field, we look at mulching, pruning, integrated pest management for the high-yielding coffee. In terms of harvesting, we are looking at selective ripe picking. When the previous presenter was mentioning, whereby the farmers are just scoop all the beans into when they are harvesting, what is required that every bean, the quality of the coffee beans that goes into matters a lot. So only ripe beans are supposed to be picked. But most often the harvesting technique is such a way that we end up with poor quality beans, which are part of the aspect we are going to look. Then we talk about the processing, which have both the dry and the wet method. And as the commissioner said, there are already plans for establishment of wet stations, which is going to come through the private sector. In terms of the climate smart aspect, which ensures sustainability of our produce, because we are aware of the fact that our major buyers are from Europe, and they have the concern for sustainable management of our farms. And as such, what are those smart agricultural practices that we are likely to use? And we're looking at promoting shade-grown coffee under the agroforestry system. We are looking at rehabilitating old farms via stomping and replanting. And what we mean with this is our genetic base. In as much as the productivity might not be as good as those in the market, but there is need for us to be able to protect it in terms of disease resistance and other features. We might likely realize that the new varieties we are introducing are not being able to cater for. Then we are looking at the situation whereby our farms in the next few years, with the development of the carbon financing system, our coffee farms are likely going to be create a carbon credit ready and improve on our green finance. So equally, one of the aspects most of our markets look at is the degree of inclusiveness of youth and women. And what we look at, we are trying to look at youth and women as the power engine of the coffee industries. We are where everybody is involved in cocoa, know that is a male-dominated industry. We are looking at the situation whereby coffee, with all the patience required, the women can be key players. And so we are looking at empowering women and youth in seedling production and processing. And we are going to look at youth-led coffee industry. The commissioner talked about baristas, roasters, and the rest. We think those are things whereby the youth can be able to key into those aspects of the value chain in order to be able to make sure that youth are part of it. Thirdly, we are going to target inclusive training and microfinance for rural entrepreneurship. All this activity takes place in our villages. That is where the land is. And we are looking at a situation whereby finance will be taken at that level. We should be able to have microfinance. The SUSU groups we have in the community can be able to give that lending and that finance to the farmers so that we'll be able to. And in the long run, what we intend to have, we intend to have an inclusive growth that brings stronger communities, and the communities are more resilient. In terms of the investment entry point, it's an investment forum. We are here to solicit, to put investment into the coffee value chain. And where are those aspects where people can be invested? Seedling and nursery development. We are aware of the fact that the state government, its commitment for the coffee industry, had to subsidize about 70% for seedling to farmers. And the 70% goes roughly to about 700 million. This is money which, if at all we are prepared as a private sector within the state, within the country, we will be able to catch it. Because most of those money went out of this country because those seedlings were brought out of the country. So for the next batch of subsidy, as investors, we'll be able to position ourselves so that we'll be able to cash out from some of those money. We're talking about processing and value addition. There is need for wet mills. There is need for drying centers. There is need there are other aspects, baristas, roasters, and the rest. That is an aspect whereby we as investors can be able to key into it. Then there is the planning and export. Based on the strategic plan, we intend to have a consumer plan for coffee. And people can go into that to be able to have their own particular plans, which will be able to be clustered within the crossover plan. Also, there is need for export infrastructure. As far as we are concerned now, we do have the seaport. If the volume of coffee increases, if at all what the federal government, the new taxing policy, if we are not careful for us to be able to earmark what we are producing, our resource in terms of value-added tax is likely going to Lagos, because most of the exporting companies are located. But we think we have the Calabar Chamber of Commerce that can be able to look into this
export infrastructure together with the state government so that Cross River coffee will be exported from Cross River, and as such, the value added tax in terms of the traceability and everything will be able to remain in the state. Then the Commissioner of Finance, Commerce mentioned that in the last ESCO, there was talk about the traceability aspect, which the government, I don't know if they approve or not, but definitely give for a platform for digital traceability and cooperative platform, whereby every coffee seed, every coffee bean, wherever it's coming, will be able to trace. So most of our use are digitally equipped. They will be able to key into that, make sure that this traceability comes in through. In terms of the socio-economic impact of the whole coffee value chain, what we intend to, by the end of that, by the time we go into where we are going in terms of strategic plan, which aims is to be able to increase by the year 2031 to have about 10,000 hectares of coffee farms farmed in Cross River. We are likely to have not less than 2,000 newly created jobs. The farmers' income are going to be about three times what they earn now, and youth and women inclusion will be, in terms of different enterprises, will be assured. And in terms of the forex and GDP, we are definitely going to see leap within the state GDP and foreign exchange. Then secondly, in terms of the investors, we are going to have a sustainable profit and measurable social impact. In terms of policy priority for government and support, the establishment of Coffee Development Fund. This, which we know has been captured within the 7-year strategic plan, is likely going to make us be able to avoid a scenario as it happens in the 80s, where farmers had to cut down their trees. Secondly, in terms of support for nursery accreditation and training, we are aware that the starting point is the nursery. The quality of the nursery planted to your farm decides what is the yield. And once you make a mistake with respect to that, definitely you are going to have a challenge. And what in terms of the produce and the strategic plan, we are going to accreditate the nurseries. We should realize that the nurseries that are going to produce the seedlings are going to be able to produce the right seedling, the right variety, and are going to be brought up. And the state government has already started by training people in terms of nursery management and other extension services. In terms of provision of incentives to processors and exporters, we know the state government, as long as they've started doing for the seedling, when it comes to processing, they are going to assist us. In terms of strengthening the land access and rural infrastructure, the commissioner just mentioned, the land have been earmarked for coffee estates. Equally, the government has made access for lands both at the local government and at the state level for new estates in terms of private sector participants to be able to take part into it. Government policy, land infrastructure policy, I think there's no better place in this state in terms of government assistance, government willingness, and the political goodwill for coffee in Nigeria at this moment. The place to be for any coffee investor is Cross River. In terms of private sector, they are going to bring us finance, market, and technology. In terms of farmers, we are prepared to improve on our production. We are prepared to be able to aggregate the coffee that is produced. We are prepared to comply with the best practices. And the outcome of all this is going to be an inclusive and scalable coffee sector. The key enablers for investors: secure value chain partnership, access to environmentally safe linked financial initiatives, and we have the support of the NACOFTA, which is the umbrella body of farmers, processors, and marketers, the Cross River State Government, and the federal government, as exhibited by the raw material and the Export Promotion Council, who are here ably represented. In terms of the roadmap, we believe that in the next 1 or 2 years, we'll be able to have nurseries and demo farms. In the next 3 to 4 years, we'll start processing and branding. And by 5 years, we're ready for export. In terms of investors, call to action, they need to partner to scale the sustainable coffee. Policymakers enact enabling regulations, which they are already doing, and development partners support climate-smart programs. As a take home for every coffee tree that is planted today, is a promise of shared prosperity tomorrow. Thank you for listening as we march on bringing horses in Nigeria
Please, can we give you another round of applause? I told you this was a teacher, but with a different style, more practical. We've seen that. One thing struck me when he was talking about entry points for investment. He recognized a lot of seeds, processing, and sir, you did not talk about those of us that drink the coffee. We are also investors in the sector. So you did not specially acknowledge that we can contribute to investment within the sector by buying and drinking more coffee. So please, I beg, any other person here did the drinking part of the... Okay, those of us, okay, let's use that. We are very key. Okay, because without us, we won't go nowhere.
I'd like to recognize the presence of some MDAs here. We have Dr. J.B., Director, National Directorate of Employment. Sir, can you show us? Thank you so much. Please let's clap for him. We also have a representative from MAN. Sir.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, please can we clap for him? We have some representative from NESRA. Please can we see your hands? All right. NAPTEP, we have some representative from NAPTEP. We have some representative from National Park. Thank you very much, Ma, for indicating the presence. All right, our next paper is going to be taken by no other than my very own special professor. I love her so much. Because of the reception she gave us the very first time we saw her. I just loved her for that. Thank you very much for welcoming us to your office. She is no other person than Professor Susan Ohen. Please let's clap for her until she gets here. Thank you so much.
It's afternoon already, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Raw Material Research and Development Council and NEPC for this opportunity to speak to us workshop. Permit me to also say thank you to the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture and Irrigation Development in Cross River State for giving me the opportunity to function within that ministry. So I want to say thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Commissioner, for Commerce, for always being there in all our stakeholder engagements, and for all you're doing in that sector. I want to say thank you, and thank you everyone that is on the high table, Kalsima, NEPC, and the audience. Thank you for attending. I have been asked to speak on the topic that says developing the coffee value chain for sustainable economic growth, public institutions as catalysts. Many of us did chemistry. Only one. So what's a catalyst? I've forgotten. It starts from action. And then what happens to it? It's not affected. Please let's clap for ourselves. So, we're talking about public institutions or public sector as being catalyst to social and economic development of the coffee value chain. That's the presentation slides, the overview of today's presentation. And we have had two presentations that have extensively talked about the coffee sector in Cross River State, so I'm not going to bore too much on that. But I want you to know that coffee is a high-value cash crop. and it has strong rural and export potentials. Coffee is among the most traded globally commodities that we have, and Cross River State before now had contributed to coffee production in Nigeria with the two major varieties as mentioned by Dr. Akim Bello, and there is need to revitalize that sector. And so it's a thing of joy to find the Raw Materials and Research and Development Council and the National Export Promotion Council taking interest in Cross River State in terms of coffee. Does it matter that we have a sustainable growth in the coffee value chain? Persons have talked about, the previous resource persons have mentioned, coffee is a source of income and employment for rural households. Coffee has export diversification angle. It's a crop that supports agro-industrialization because from the cherries there are many value addition stages that one can find his or herself, and so we have a vast area to operate in. Coffee is a crop that promotes climate smart agriculture. A very good enabling environment because we have in place a 7-year roadmap for the development of coffee in Cross River State. The key highlights in that 7-year roadmap are that the roadmap is hinged on 5 strategic pillars. And what are the pillars? We have a pillar on sustainable coffee production, and so we stated actions that will lead to us producing coffee sustainably in Cross River State, environmental friendly. We have a pillar that talks about access to extension services, research and development. We have our pillar 3 on quality processing and value addition. We have a pillar that talks about value chain funding and investment and market development. And then a pillar that institutionalizes a framework for sustainability. The roadmap that Cross River State has, the 7-year roadmap, it emphasizes on traceability. If you are aware of the European Union deforestation regulations, you are not going to be able to sell your product outside, especially to the EU countries, if you don't follow a deforestation-free and other strategies that are stated. So we need to have a coffee system or sector that is traceable. That's from the farm to the point of export. We need to see that it's a transparent process and it's not being cultivated in the forest. So that roadmap emphasizes certification, sustainability, and export readiness. The roadmap that we have in Cross River State has proposed that we create a dedicated cash crop development agency that will coordinate the affairs and implementation in that sector. And also, as part of the processes being carried out in Cross River State, the produce law, the produce inspection law and bill has been revised in Cross River State, and that gives a backing for coffee activities in the state. Just to remind you of the coffee value chain from farm to cup. I took coffee this morning, that's Nescafe. That is from the cherries to the cup. So that's the chain from production. We have the processing, we have the marketing, and then we have exports. And value addition is key within that chain for us to increase our profitability and make progress within that system. Each node within that first system I have talked about, within production, processing, marketing, and export, adds value and adds income. and then employment. So you may not necessarily be a coffee farmer. The commissioner has mentioned many other things that you can do. You can just be doing, I'm trying to pronounce that, meshai. Those who do tea, the hazard tea. That's the meshai. So you can just have a coffee pot. You call it another specialized name, barista. So that's the chain to function in. We have farmers, we have processors, we have traders, we have exporters, we have service providers. You can just have a nursery, Dr. Sam had mentioned. You just have your own duty is to produce coffee seedlings. And then we come to you to buy, we are the farmers. And then we have another set waiting to gather the cherries. How many of us have seen coffee cherries before? Physically. We have only seen them in pictures. That's cherries. How many persons have seen it? Okay, so we went somewhere and someone was showing us a coffee tree. And that wasn't a coffee tree. But if you don't know, you're going to agree. He was doing a tourist guide. So taking us through the paths, and then he got to a tree and said, "This is coffee." And one of us who knows coffee started shouting, "It's not coffee." Some of us who don't know will say what? We saw coffee tree in Akwa Ibom. So those are cherries there. That is the processed one, and that's the coffee in your cup. So there's value addition opportunities, there's roasting, packaging, branding, so much within the coffee value chain for you to have where to locate yourself. What is required, like the MPC, one of these persons who gave a goodwill message, he said what we require is collaboration, coordination, and coming together as one to work to develop that sector. So I'm talking about the role of public institutions in sustainable economic growth. What is economic growth, sustainable economic growth? This projector is actually not speaking well of my good slides. Okay, we'll continue. So what's sustainable economic growth? Sustainable economic growth is the steady expansion of economic output and prosperity that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So sustainable economic growth is that growth that meets the problems and the needs of the present generation and also takes into mind and consideration the future generation. Growth that meets present needs without jeopardizing future generations. True growth uplifts people, preserves the planet, and sustains progress and profits. So the pillars of a sustainable economic growth system are, we have the economic sustainability pillar, which talks about productive efficiency, innovation and diversification. Example, developing agro-industries within the coffee sector, promoting exports and improving productivity. When we are doing that, then we are meeting the economic sustainability pillar of economic sustainable economic growth. We have the social sustainability pillar, which talks about inclusion, equity, education, health, and jobs. So when we create jobs, as Nakoftan chairman said, when the youths are carried along, when the women are carried along, then we are socially sustaining the system. We have environmental sustainability, which talks about conservation, planting coffee without deforesting. And Akin Pelu talked about intensification rather than expansion. When we are doing those things and promoting an eco-friendly farming, what we are doing is that we are into what? We're into what? From my pillar, we are into what? Are you with me? When we are doing that, we are into environmental. We're into what? Thank you very much. So public institutions, we want to link sustainable economic growth with what? Public institutions. I'm sure most of us here, I know some persons are here from the private sector and private institutions, but I see most of us are coming from the public institutions, and we have a role to play. And we know who public institutions are, bodies that are established by law to serve public interests. We have organizations and structures that are established by governments. They are the national, they are the state, and they are the local level. They carry out public functions. They deliver services. They regulate activities. They are the formal mechanisms through which government policies, government laws, and programs are implemented. If you're a public sector person, let me see you. If you're from the public sector, at the state level, I can identify people from the local government council. If you're from the public institutions, public sector, let's see. Federal, state, local government. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for obeying. Categories of public institutions, we have them categorized into policy and planning institutions. Example, there are many. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture is found there, Cross River State Ministry of Agric, all the government parastatals. You can group them under policy and planning. We have the research and innovation sector. We have Cream talk with us this morning. We have the raw material